in the U.S. House of Representatives. He's a member of the House Ways and Means Committee, the committee in Congress that has jurisdiction over virtually every aspect of federal government activity. In addition to his vital role in the Housing Ways and Means Committee, Congressman Meek serves on the NATO Parliamentary Assembly and the Democratic Steering and Policy Committee. An experienced legislator, Congressman Meek served in the Florida House of Representatives from 96 to 98 and in the Florida Senate from 99 to 2002. In 2002, Congressman Meek launched an initiative to reduce class sizes in Florida's overcrowded public schools. As chairman of Florida's Coalition to Reduce Class Size, Congressman Meek spearheaded a petition drive that collected more than 500,000 signatures. He guided the amendment through 2 opposition efforts in the Florida Supreme Court, as well as a well-funded campaign to kill it at the ballot box. In the end, 2.5 million Florida citizens voted for the measure, and it was approved. Congressman Meek is a native of Miami, Florida. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice in '89 from Florida A&M University. He's married to the former Leslie Dixon of Brooklyn, New York. They have 2 children, Lauren and Kendrick Jr. Congressman Meek is the son of former Congresswoman Carrie Meek. Please help me welcome Congressman Kendrick Meek. How are you, sir?
Thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. Please, more. No? Okay. Well, I'm glad to be here. These are raindrops on my shoulder. And I did land. My flight was like maybe an hour late or so. That's what happens when you don't have a state plane to fly on. Just like the regular folks. Sat emergency row, which I call a poor man's first class. It's great. I don't know if you've been outside recently, but it is pretty dark out there and pretty wet. But I'm glad to be here, and I'm so glad that you've decided to have a candidates forum to be able to hear from those of us that are running for statewide office. And I know that you heard from the Attorney General, and I know you heard from the state CFO, and I know you heard from a former speaker who I bump into every now and then on the road. And this morning I know you heard from the governor, and was it this morning? He said he came as governor, and I was like, well, I read that, I ripped it out. I don't know what I did with it. It was in the paper saying he was coming here as governor, and I was wondering why he wasn't running again for governor since he loved that title so. But we're all working together as far as I'm concerned. And I come as a congressman, but I also come as a candidate for the United States Senate next November. And I think it's very, very important because Florida, we have so many things that we are not leading in right now. It's very serious business, and I'm trying to make light of it in some areas, but I can tell you, those of you that are here, all of you are small business people. You're folks that are trying to keep your business afloat. Many of you have come to Washington, D.C. over the years. I've been there for 7 years. Some of you have come to Washington, to Tallahassee when I was there in the state legislature. Some of you even go as far back as seeing my mother when she was in Tallahassee, Congresswoman Carrie Meek, and I've heard her referred to as former Congresswoman. We still refer to her as Congresswoman in the House, and she responds to it, and so don't you dare put former in front of it. I got to tell you this, it's great. My mom, I'll get a call from her. We talk every day. I'm a big mama's boy, I would admit it. And I'll be 43 next month. And every now and then she'll call and there'll be some issue because she's always clipping things out of the newspaper. I get home, just go into the bed. This is what I read. And, I had the nerve to get her subscription to a number of periodicals, and she'll say, did you read this in Time? And this is very interesting. But every now and then she would call when there's an issue and she's watching C-SPAN, and she'll say, Kendrick, I know that y'all are getting ready to vote, and I'm not telling you what to do, but if I was there. I said, I hear you. So she makes those phone calls from time to time. I just want to say very seriously, because I do want to get more to questions, I just wanted to make sure I checked the door, the marquee out there, to make sure that this wasn't a healthcare town hall. But okay, good. I want to get to some of the issues because, as you know, in Washington, D.C., we have tried as hard as we could to be able to rebound and make this market happen. We know that you're the backbone of the economy, and as you know, some of you may know, a quarter of the defaults on mortgages right now are from the state of Florida. We're leading that. We're leading that area. You have been more creative than any other industry in trying to not only keep the business that we call real estate going, but to also be creative with those that want to buy and those that find themselves having to quick sell and working with banks and others. And as you know, in Washington, we expanded the first time home buyer credit tax credit to include all income levels, which was very, very important. And as you know, there's a push in the bill that's coming up in the very near future to take that up to about $15,000 to be able to allow people to be able to get it. I think it's also important as we start talking about approaches that will deal with energy efficiency, and also the great battle that's going to go on in this country when the Bush tax cuts come in for sunset. As you know, the sunset was originally set some 10 years ago, and now they're going to come in the very near future, and we have to figure out how we're going to reinvest those dollars. Those dollars may very well be reinvested through getting this market started again in Florida, in Northeast Florida, and also especially in Southwest Florida. It's really a state of emergency. I mean, there's so many signs that are there. It reminds me when I was in Youngstown, Ohio, some 2 years ago, which is in the Rust Belt, where people work with their hands. And I remember talking to Congressman Tim Ryan, and Congressman Ryan said, I showed up at his house, and I said, man, there are about 8 houses on your block that are vacant, and they're bigger, and they're nice, and goodness gracious, they only cost $125,000. And he said, well, if I buy that, who's going to buy my house? And I see that being all too much of the truth here in Florida. Now, one of the things that I want to mention, because I don't need to talk to you about things that you already know, I just want to say this as a candidate for the U.S. Senate. I have, and then I want to get into some questions, because I think that's really, I can get to the meat of what you want to hear from me today. I want to let you know that I represent a district in South Florida that I could probably be the congressman as long as I have a heartbeat. It's a legacy district. My mother served in it, I've served in it, and have been reelected time after time again by big margins. I decided to run for the U.S. Senate because I believe this state needs a leader that can bring not only the passion to the Senate floor, the passion of knowing what Floridians are going through in these very hard times, in a recession, which is a depression if you've lost your home or your job, to be able to make sure that when we talk about our environment and the reason why people want to move to Florida in the first place, that we grow smart and that we grow in a way that we don't hurt the very reason why folks want to buy homes. Now, this is not my first time at this juncture in trying to, or at this stage of trying to